Welcome to the demo of 2026-27 Award Year Aid Eligibility Updates in Student Financial Aid within Oracle Student Cloud. This feature enables you to receive and evaluate 2026-2027 ICERs in full compliance with the Department of Education's newly published FAFSA Specifications Guide. Our solution supports all new and updated data elements required for this new award year, including fields that have been reclassified as FTI and those with new names or updated valid values. Additionally, we're delivering a robust baseline configuration that fully supports automated ICER processing for the 26-27 cycle, aligning to the federal requirements. From a business need perspective, these updates position your institution to seamlessly ensure compliance with all federal changes for the upcoming award year. Most importantly, these improvements allow you to provide faster, data-driven provisional aid offers, which support both better student experience and more accurate institutional planning. Now you are able to benefit by smoothly transitioning to the new award year while significantly reducing administrative overhead. You can package projected 26-27 awards once valid ICERs are received and processed. Finally, students gain greater financial clarity as they will be able to easily compare their estimated costs and the financial aid they are likely to receive for the new award year. Together, these enhancements help you stay compliant, reduce effort, and provide valuable transparency and support for your students. Hello, this is the demo for 25D 2027 Award Year Aid Eligibility Updates and a walkthrough of areas within SFA and configuration that should be reviewed and potentially updated with each new aid year release from the Department of Education. First, you'll want to ensure you have permissions to update new aid year files set correctly for your users, as well as updating and adding any new permissions that may have been released as part of the new aid year updates. When you are setting up users that should be able to make your yearly aid eligibility configuration updates, you'll want to ensure the user has the correct roles to make system updates. Looking at our system administrator role, you can see they have administration, configuration administration, DOE file management, and TD client and VUG. While maintaining users that will need to administer financial aid but won't necessarily need to make broad configuration updates in SFA, they will need to have ICER review verification and document task roles as well as document requester. As part of your new aid year checklist, you'll want to review release notes to determine if any new roles were created as part of department updates, which was the case in 24-25 with CAA updates. A new FTI viewer role was introduced, and you would want to add this role to anyone that should have the ability to see restricted FTI data. If you have introduced a new document, you'll want to update the document permissions and ensure they are associated to the correct roles as well. Now, as we go through each workbook, you'll see why it is important to make sure the new award year is set up correctly. Each workbook plays a key role in managing your new financial aid awards, so validating these updates will help ensure everything runs smoothly. First, we're going to look at the regulatory deadlines workbook. This will come pre-populated with dates that are 1 year plus the end date of the prior year's dates. At the initial release, this may not line up with the department as they are usually not available right away and will need to be updated as the department releases the updated end dates. As a key note, while testing, you'll need to update the FAFSA, ICER correction, ICER verification, and ICER award year start dates to a date less than or equal to the date you are testing. Remember to only update these values in your test environments, as your production environment should more closely align to department specs. Moving to the school workbook, this typically does not change year over year unless there are new guidelines from the department, which was again the case in 24-25 with updated ICER matching fields. So while typically you won't have to make any updates, it is important to review release notes yearly. The ICER Management Workbook will have a new row created per award year, and you can generally copy the Material Changes Groovy and the ICER used in packaging script unless there are new ICER fields introduced that you want to use in your determinations. Baseline can be used as a guide here, but school-specific updates may be warranted. Next is the ICER C Codes workbook. This again will be pre-populated with new award year data. You should review baseline configuration to see what updates were made to the pre-populated data and make any school-specific updates as needed. Your configuration may point to different Groovy scripts than baseline, so you want to review and compare your school-specific updates. For ICER C Codes to fields, this workbook will be populated with the new award year as well, and all fields will match the Department of Education specifications and should not need to be updated. The ICER Verification Codes workbook does not come pre-populated with any data, making it important to review our baseline configuration, which is shown here, and your school's configuration to make any adjustments needed for the new award year. Now we'll look at the ICER Reject Codes workbook. This will be pre-populated with reject codes and the new award year. However, you should review your current configuration and our baseline updates to make any adjustments. The ICER Reject to C Codes workbook will not come pre-populated with any data. Please copy what is included in our baseline configuration shown here, as that will match the Department of Education's specifications. The ICER Reject Codes to fields will come pre-populated with the new award year and will align with all of the Department of Education's specifications, so there is not a need to make any updates to this workbook. For the ICER Discrepancy workbook, you'll want to copy what is included in our baseline configuration, as that will match the Department of Education's guidelines. If any school-specific updates are needed, you'll want to ensure you are using the ICER field enum defined by SFA. With the ICER Highlight workbook, each year a new row will be added for each ICER field associated with a highlight included in the award year, and will be pre-populated with the ICER field enum used within SFA. You'll want to compare your prior year's configuration as well as baseline to make any updates needed. The ICER Assumption workbook only applies to 2023-24 award years and prior, so there will not be a need to make any updates. However, you should review release notes yearly to ensure the department has not reintroduced assumptions. Your PJ workbook will not come with any pre-populated data, meaning you should review your prior year's configuration and our updated baseline configuration to determine any updates to the new award year. Your Documents and Doc Metadata workbook should be added based on your institutional policy. However, you should review our baseline configuration and release notes to determine if SFA has introduced any new award year based documents. Going back to SFA, you'll want to enable your new award year files. Navigate by Administration to Department of Education File Management, and you'll want to click on the new award year. If this is your initial setup, you'll want to use today's date for any award years in which you want to start processing. If this is in anticipation of the upcoming award year, you'll want to use the date when those files should start loading into SFA. For testing purposes in your test environments, you can update the date to today's date or a date in the past as shown here to start processing files. In production, you'll also want to set up your mailboxes in the SAIG administration screen and check the health of your TD client. I briefly want to touch on the regulatory management UI. This UI should not be used, and instead the regulatory dates should be updated within the regulatory deadlines workbook as mentioned earlier. Now I want to walk you through a student example. I've already loaded a fast student initiation event and a SAFI in SFA. I'll load an ICER now to walk through some of the updated UI fields with 25D, as some prior fields have moved to FTI. Later, I'll walk through another student example to demonstrate the updates made to our ICER verification task. Moving to administration and load ICERs, I'm now able to load my 2027 ICER file. For testing new aid year, the Department of Education releases test ICER files. These files can be used in your testing if you create student initiation events that match the SSN on the ICER files. Testing in this way will have the best results as these files come straight from the Department of Education. Going back to my student, now I can see that the ICER has loaded successfully and it is valid. Moving to the ICER section, now I can see in the student financial information section, the student spouse information section or financial information section, as well as for the parent and parent spouse financial information sections, that FTI fields have been updated. These new FTI fields work in the same manner as the previous award years. You are only able to see the actual value of the FTI field if you have the FTI viewer permission. Without that, you would just see the CUI label. Moving to the packaging screen, I can see now that this student has projected funding for the upcoming award year. This is important because you're able to send provisional offer letters to students prior to the Department of Education supporting Title IV funding and any COD updates for the upcoming award year. Moving to another student that I previously loaded, we can see that this student is selected for verification. Moving over to their ICER, we see that they have a 298 comment code. Reviewing portal, we are also able to identify that the student submitted their verification work documents. And the student does have an ICER verification task queue that I've already assigned to myself. The Department of Education recently updated its guidelines for reporting how a student's identification should be verified. And so we've updated the ICER verification task queue to include the method used to identify the student. We've previously released a document called the Identification Confirmation Document, and now this option is available within the task queue. You can see that we have options for in-person, conference call, or third-party verification. You can also choose not to use this feature and use this blank instead. I am going to utilize this conference call, complete the task, and clear verification. Now I'm going to pull up Oracle Analytics Server to run the updated verification results report. While this is running, I want to mention that there may be updates needed during new aid year for reporting. For example, when ICER field names change or are added, you may need to modify custom reports to account for these changes. Please review release notes to see which, if any, product reports have been changed or added. Here you can see our student has a 2 on the report since we completed the task queue with a conference call. If this would have been in person, a 1 would have been demonstrated here, and if it was blank, we would have seen a 5 on the report.